We just found a brand new live shot of Toronto for you this morning. So take a look at that camera way up atop the CN Tower. And you can see the snow continues to fall. You can see it a whole lot better when you look at the ground. And here's another live shot for you this morning. Toronto, where somewhere around 10 centimeters of fresh snow are on the ground. 10 centimeters, nothing to deter a group of volunteers from heading out today, as they do every day, to deliver food and supplies to the city's vulnerable. On their bikes. The group is called the Toronto Bike Brigade. We wanted to find out about them. The man who founded the group and the man who's up early and getting ready for his runs today is with me this morning, David Shellnut, who's known as the biking lawyer. David, welcome. Delighted to meet you here.
Thanks, Heather. Good morning.
Good morning. And to find out about what you do, who's in this bike brigade with you, David?
Really regular community members, from school teachers to folks who've either lost their job because of the pandemic or are underemployed right now, to lawyers like myself. It's just a wide array of folks who love to cycle and love the city of Toronto.
Love to cycle and love to help, because tell people, what do you do?
We regularly, every week, deliver food and supplies to folks in need. We support community organizations and mutual aid groups across the downtown core area, mostly, getting food, masks, art therapy supplies, menstrual products, you name it, to folks in need so that they can stay home and stay out of the hospitals.
So any sort of food, any sort of supplies to people in need. I mean, there's a lot of focus on some of Toronto's most vulnerable neighborhoods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just my connections to Parkdale led me there at the beginning of the pandemic last year, and saw the incredible work that groups like the Parkdale Community Food Bank, Parkdale People's Economy, and mutual aid groups were doing. So just to support their efforts, called up some cyclists and started riding for them. Today we're doing a Parkdale run as well, 4 boxes for Greenest City, which are delivering produce to folks in need.
You did hear me say there's 10 centimeters of fresh snow on the ground, right?
For sure. Actually, hats off to the city staff this morning. I was out before 6 walking the dog, and they'd already done my side street, so they were really on top of it. And if the city maintains bike lanes and keeps good infrastructure safe for us, you can ride all year round in Toronto.
Really?
And we have 100 riders a week volunteering for us, snow or not, sunny days or snowy days.
That says a lot about love of cycling, commitment to cycling, and as you said, the city making it possible for you. But you said something really interesting just a moment ago, that you got this idea going back to the very beginning of the pandemic, nearly a year ago. You started this back in March at the time of the original lockdown. I'm interested, David, through your eyes, what have you seen in terms of the impact of this pandemic?
I think what the pandemic has done, Heather, is highlighted pre-existing problems in our society, and tons of people who've been failed by our systems. And the pandemic has just highlighted that in bright yellow for everybody to see. Housing crises, food insecurity, racial injustice, you name it. The pandemic has highlighted it all. So that's what we've seen. These problems that have existed that need to be addressed, but that have been highlighted.
And people like you have responded to that need as it's been perceived. What kind of a role do you think you've come to fill, you and others like you have come to fill, for both community groups and for people in need?
I think it's a real sense of community. It's people showing up every day on bikes doing the simple act of delivering. And we can, through that act, hear what community leaders have been saying to us for a long time, that we have the capacity to care for ourselves. We have the tools and resources to build sustainable and safe neighborhoods if we work together.
What do the people to whom you deliver, David, what do they tell you about how much your service means to them?
Well, it's hard because we're always at a safe distance and fully masked, so it's often just a smile with the eyes. But that's enough. We hear from our community partners that we're filling a need and supporting the incredible work that they're doing. These folks are really lifting up our communities. People's Pantry, these kind of groups are really carrying a lot of load here and should be supported.
So how do you feel about your contribution?
We used to do a huge delivery day on Tuesdays where we would have 60 cyclists show up to my law office and deliver 120 boxes. And I used to say Tuesday is the new Saturday because it was so remarkable to see that many people coming together, rain, snow, sunshine, to help out their community members. You see a lot in the press of right-wing movements on the rise and things like that. It's really depressing, but to be able to see firsthand community responding and helping each other is such a blessing.
Well, for sure, and immodest in terms of giving full kudos to your group, but I would hope there's a lot of satisfaction and pride as well for you personally in having set this up and seeing what an important role it's come to play. How long do you think you're going to have to keep going with this, or will you keep going with this?
We are in the process of planning long-term. Through our work with Food Share, we've learned, like I said earlier, that food insecurity is not a pandemic problem. It's a systemic one. And the idea that people on bikes can help communities and show that it's a great way to get around. The people who do it are awesome, and it should be supported is something we want to continue. And to be able to highlight cycling and help people in need is unfortunately a problem that's going to last for a long time. So we're going to continue to do this long past the pandemic.
Okay. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but on our program, we always make a point of saluting the heroes and the helpers through this pandemic, and you and your bike brigade definitely meet the bar today. So thank you for telling us about it. I'm going to let you go because you got a ride to get ready for. And thank you for being in with us, David. Really appreciate meeting you.
Have a great morning, Heather.
Thanks. You too, the founder of the Toronto Bike Brigade.